Hello, Wobbly Phil here. Recently, I've been on a 6-cylinder roll. I've talked about Kawasaki's big Z1300, and last week it was the turn of the legendary Honda CBX. But you clever people out there in the comments have mentioned another 6, a Suzuki 6. It first appeared in the early 2000s as a concept bike. A prototype demonstrator was even made. Then it disappeared. Whatever happened to the Suzuki Stratosphere? Cycle World was virtually frothing at the mouth in January 2006. Their correspondents were at the Tokyo Bike Show in late 2005, and no, they hadn't been bitten by a marauding pack of rabid zombie beavers. They'd seen this, and they were frothing in an excited way. So what exactly were the Stratosphere's specs? The beating heart of this beast would be a transverse inline 6-cylinder 1100cc engine, which Suzuki reckoned would be no wider than its current 4-cylinder offerings. Indeed, it would be a full inch narrower than Suzuki's halo bike, the Hyabusa. Cycle World reckoned this power plant would be a mere 18 inches or 47 centimetres wide. When I read that, I had to look twice because I thought it was a misprint. By a clever trick of placing the alternator behind the cylinder block, Honda had managed to slim down almost the same number of cubic centimetres and 6 cylinders to 25.5 inches on its legendary CBX. But 18 inches seemed like a typographical error. That's just the width of 1.5 subs from your favourite sandwich shop. Why a 6? Well, our intrepid Cycle World writer goes on to explain the inherent silky smoothness of a 6-cylinder engine, something I've explained in other videos. If you haven't watched those, do take a look. And by the way, if you can subscribe while you're at it, I'd be frightfully grateful. Thank you. Cycle World believed Suzuki would be getting 180 to 200 horsepower from its 6-cylinder lump, and gear shifting would be a choice of automatic or manual. Aesthetically, praise is heaped on the influence of Carl Wetter in the styling. If you recall, he was the American design genius who gave us the much sought-after X75 take on the Triumph Trident, and you can see the nod to it in the Stratosphere, with a big dollop of katana thrown in for good measure. And the full-colour LCD dash looks great, commonplace now, but remember this was almost 2 decades ago. I'll come back to that later. But the big question remained, when would Suzuki introduce the production Stratosphere to the world? The manufacturer did supply a video of the bike running on its test track in Japan. Suzuki even confirmed in 2007 that it would go into production. That said, specs, pricing and all the other important information was left off the press release. There was one report that it would be available to the great unwashed to buy in 2009. Since then, there's been nothing, nada, zilch. So whatever happened to the Stratosphere? Confirmed in 2007, gone in 2008. Those dates ring a bell. Well, it's simple. Every mother and his fudger was running around in circles screaming in 2008, the year the financial sky fell in. It left the Stratosphere with no air to breathe up there in the dizzy Superbike heights. To be fair, it was always going to be a stretch for Suzuki, known for its less expensive yet bulletproof machines, to sell this thing at a price that would probably have eclipsed its top-of-the-range prestige offering, the Hyabusa. There just wasn't enough dosh sloshing around to soak up a run of bikes that would have sold at a price that could well have been around the $40,000 mark, or the thick end of $20,000 at least. In the US, the automakers were in the middle of being saved from going bust, and GM got rid of its 3% stake in Suzuki. Suzuki itself had to find a life raft in the form of selling a 20% stake to Volkswagen in 2010. Then there were the technical promises that would have been difficult or pricey to achieve back then. A full-colour LCD dash? Well, sure, laptops had full-colour LCD displays in the early 2000s, and TVs were getting in on the act too, but ruggedized? On a motorcycle? At the right price? High-end cars were only just getting LED displays on their dashboards at the time. Here's one from a 2008 Audi. And full-colour LCD displays have only recently made their way onto bikes, like the one here on my Indian FTR. There was even mention of LCD headlights, which made their first appearance around the same time as the concept launch on expensive cars like Audis, Lexuses, Lexi, and Cadillacs, so not cheap. It seems Suzuki's dreams of reaching the stratosphere were dumped on by greedy bankers wrecking the world economy and over-ambition. Ambition could have been scaled back, no doubt, in production models, as is often the case with concept vehicles. The bankers, on the other hand, well, don't get me started. But wait, scouring all 1.1 billion websites on the internet, I've discovered you can buy a Suzuki Stratosphere, and it won't cost you an arm and a leg. Oh wait, it's a 1/18th scale model, and it's out of stock. I guess the closest we're going to get is strapping a Katana front end onto two Triumph Trident X75s, a job for Alan Milliard perhaps. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please consider liking, subscribing, commenting and sharing to let YouTube know we're doing something right here at 3 Fills. Thank you.